Hi again, everyone. Well, here I am in nature. Isn't it beautiful? Look what we've got here on Earth. And we are of the Earth. We're not really citizens. That is a subset of what we are as humans, as inhabitants of Earth. However, we have let a lot of, very ambitious people run our lives, and we believe that they are a higher authority than we are. I just want to remind you that you are your highest authority. Everybody, every individual is their own highest authority. And so to be able to tap into that, we need to go inward instead of outward. What I want more than anything is to see an empowered population of humans instead of all this strife that we have had throughout the ages. Have you noticed that throughout the ages we've always done things the same way? We've had a hierarchy with a head, and that we appeal to that head of the hierarchy for our sustenance and for our well-being. That is a very dangerous structure, and I want to remind you that that is not the only way to do it. There is such a thing as sociocracy, which is a form of dynamic governance, it is called, and it is good for making the power sort of fluid, more fluid and interactive. There is so much at stake right now. I believe that the powers that we have entrusted, erroneously entrusted, are going to come to a point very soon where they're going to fulfill their agenda, which was written many years ago in a document by the United Nations called Agenda 21, which I urge all of you to see. They also have another agenda out called Agenda 2030, which I have not read yet. However, Agenda 21, guised under the title of Sustainable Development, is extremely veiled for what they really want to do, which is to remove 5.5 billion people from the planet and have an optimum number of inhabitants of Earth be at 500,000. So that means that probably you and I are in those numbers. I'm certainly sure that it's not the people who wrote Agenda 21. And the usual miscreants, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans, and the people that are traditionally governing all policies throughout Europe, America, and many other places in the world. Israel is another miscreant that is having an outsized effect over our lives. But let me just put to you this, that we are now at a time where we have the technology to replace politicians and hierarchies of every kind, because we have the internet and we have education. We're educated and we can read and write, therefore we can represent ourselves. We don't need representatives. A representative does not speak for us because they have their own opinions and they exert those opinions upon us by making laws which we feel bound to abide by, but we're the schmucks because they don't feel obliged to abide by the laws, and they constantly ruin the Constitution. Now, I'm not a proponent of the Constitution. I think it's old-fashioned. Nonetheless, they are sworn to oath to abide by the Constitution, yet they don't do it. They make our laws, we abide by them, but they are ridiculous laws and very, very restraining, to the point where the framers of the Constitution had absolutely no intention of laws being construed like this. For example, you can't collect your own water, you have to be connected to the electric grid. I mean, when the framers made the Constitution, they didn't even know about the atom, so they didn't know about electricity and the grid. So we have to start building something that is of the digital age, and we can do that with the internet. What we need is, we need lots of love, and we need software. So the love comes where we get together and we join up using our assets and our skills and our creativity and our energy. And we also need software people to put a system together so that we can all make proposals online, we can discuss them, we can bring up experts to and video them, and or have experts write on the topics that we want to propose, and we inform the public and each other on all sides. People can chime in, anybody can chime in, can make comments. We can have moderators that remove the the senseless comments, but they too must be somewhere where we can see. We can't just have someone deciding for us what can and cannot be included in our discussions and our information. We can make it easier on ourselves by having search agents that can collect the information that we want throughout the internet world by looking for keywords that span wherever we specify. We can do whatever we wish this way. We now have the tool. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that exciting? Why aren't we using it? I tried to deposit a check from one state to another into a federal credit union, and you know what? I can't do it. Into a credit union, I should say. And I can't do it because there isn't a provision for depositing a check in one credit union in one state to another state in the digital age. This is ridiculous. I have been to 3 credit unions in another state, and the 3 of them do not accept deposits from another credit union in another state. Now, this is silly, and that's because we are under control constantly. We have to give all our coordinates to these wonderful people called the government, who supposedly we entrust to look after us, and nothing could be further from the truth. They are getting close to an end game, I am pretty sure, because it's just getting more and more desperate. Perhaps their agenda is over time. Now, what kind of a world do you want to bring your children up in, I ask you? If we don't get a check on this now, then I think that by the time our children are older and our grandchildren, they won't have the opportunity because they will be implanted with devices that will control them entirely. And this is all possible now with the technology that we have today. So we the people are the wisest way of deriving wisdom, the wisest way of deriving wisdom. Crowd wisdom is the best way of finding true wisdom. So we have to go to the people by having the technology that enables us to make proposals, give information, and then vote online. And I know that there are extremes, but the 2 extremes cancel each other out, so you get a big number in the middle. And when we vote, we don't have passes of 51%. We use an 80% or 75% threshold. This is just to whet your appetite about the things that we can do. I'm waiting for change. I'm prepared to be involved in the change. If we don't feel some sort of inconvenience to our regular systems, then we're not going to have change, because change comes from discomfort. It's built in like that. Nature has made it like that in order to have coherence. You see, if you every time you thought of something and you wanted change, it started to change, then we'd have complete chaos. But nature has made the formula so that you have to really want change. You have to be prepared to go out of your way. You have to be prepared to be a little bit inconvenienced. And the way we're going, we can make it so that we're only a little bit inconvenienced. But if we don't do something soon, the inconvenience is going to be ours nonetheless, and it will be violent. It will be a violent change. So let's think smartly instead of just sitting like lemmings and waiting for change to come upon us. We are millions in America, 320 or so million. And how many people do we fund and look to for our direction and our laws? We have to rethink this idea about laws, because laws only restrict. And we need principles to guide us. We don't need restrictions. We only need restrictions so that we don't hurt each other. And that's simple. We can just incorporate the golden rule in that case. It's quite simple. If we don't want to harm, if we all agree that harming each other is not what we want, but we can still fulfill many of our desires and still have the most incredible abundance by not harming each other. We really don't need to harm each other or the other creatures on the planet or the environment itself. We will work in harmony with nature. So I hope that's given you some food for thought. Talk to you again soon.